we want to build the line that Gisborne needs, then we need a serious geo-strategic examination.
Yep.
That'll cost, I think, between 3 and 3.5 million to be done properly.
Yep.
We need that, and my party undertakes, to, in this campaign, to deliver that investigation. When we've got that finished, we will know what to do. But the report hitherto being relied upon is just not granular enough, it's not substantial enough, and the geotech issues are of serious concern to us. We've already opened up the Wharekahika to Napier line, which was shut down. We're reopening lines between Whangarei and Oteria up north. So our good faith in this matter arises from me being the Minister for Kiwi Rail, and a 4.2 billion investment already, which is more than the previous government put into it over 9 years.
More than the previous government over 9 years.
Of the whole 9 years. They ran the railways down.
Yeah.
We were building railways all over this country. The Prime Minister was down at Hillside yesterday, excepting I was there a week ago. I was there a week ago, and Hillside is a result of New Zealand First and the Provincial Growth Fund, as the hubs in Palmerston North and elsewhere, substantially parts of the portfolio that I am the Minister for.
Okay, I think we've only got about 10 minutes. So if you do,
How
about are we going to see Gisborne an East Coast candidate? I'm not aware of one at this stage. I think we're 32 days from the election.
No.
Okay then.
No, we're just after the second vote here. We don't run a candidate everywhere. If the right candidate was here, we would have run one, but we don't run a candidate just for form. We either have the right candidate or we don't run one at all.
Okay. Haven't you managed to have a candidate in every electorate in the past, though, just from memory? I mean, the parties normally do, don't they, all of them?
Well, yes, they do, but as you'll see from the number of candidates that have left the National Party in the last 3 months, this is often a pro forma. And they've had so many candidates, so has Labour, and so have other parties had problems, as we all hope to avoid.
I see you met by chance in Waiwo yesterday, you met the Waiwo Racing Club president, Paul Totehill. What did you say to him? Because really, isn't the reality that racing in Gisborne and Waiwo is gone and gone forever? Is that a fair enough statement?
Well, racing was gone forever in our country before we came back.
Yeah.
It was on a survival diet. It was dramatically declining. We'd gone from 8,000 mares to under 4,000. These are dramatic examples of decline.
Yeah, I've seen some of the figures, yeah.
Well, I turned head around with the Masara report, passed 2 pieces of legislation and put 72.5 million into a recovery program, which is dramatically going to change things the moment COVID-19 is defeated. And we can make racing great again, but we've had this modest figures.
Yeah, no, I understand that argument. But in terms of sustainability, does that mean that Waiwo and Poverty Bay racing is gone?
Well, that's
I mean, Poverty Bay is trying to race in Napier, and Hicks Bay, a lot of smaller clubs are, as you would know. But I mean, racing in this city, is it gone? Is that fair enough to say?
Well, you'd have to ask the people in charge of the racing industry now. I mean, I'm not trying to avoid the question.
Yeah.
What I've tried to do is pick up from a report that was commenced in 1967, which was ignored, and that was to rationalise racing and make it successful. The report came out in 1970. Nothing happened because of provincial arguments. And then we've had this dramatic report from Masara. It's over to the race people in every area for the survival of their course. And some courses that were meant to be shutting down are not. They're put to the good business cases.
Yeah, I suppose Avondale is the obvious one, isn't it?
Well, Avondale hasn't put together a good case at this point in time because they're sitting on a massive asset.
Yes.
And they've got $100 million of expenditure with no plan to use it.
So have you got some Gisborne issues you want to speak about? Well, we'll just carry on then, shall we?
Yeah, you go.
We've got too much time. Have election expectations. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people out there saying you won't get 5%.
Not a lot of people.
Okay.
Your colleagues in the metropolitan media.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, fair enough.
Idea.
That's what I meant. Okay, fair
his understanding of polling and getting it right over the last 27 years, where we're concerned, is a dramatic example of bias, prejudice, and dare I say it, wanton ignorance. For 27 years, that's all I've heard.
Okay, then. So normally you're a part of the campaign as well. You tend to increase over the campaign.
Yeah.
That's your expectation?
It's happening now.
It's happening now?
Mm. The moment we get to see the people unfiltered and uneditorialised by the media, we're on our way.
Okay. What about Shane Jones in Auckland?
We've got every
got a word
chance.
for the polls there? I mean, they say he's going to come third.
Well, you know, I cannot believe these pollsters, and I cannot believe that intelligent people rely upon them.
Mm.
I went into a by-election there, 17,400 votes behind, and in 27 days won it. So please don't have you, not you, but the metropolitan media and so-called commentariat telling you what's going to happen.
Okay then.
We make things happen.
Okay then. What do you make of all these new parties like New Conservative and Advanced New Zealand? Obviously, they're strong against the alert levels. I meant to ask you about that as well, and have some what appear to be strange issues about 5G and all these almost fringe type element parties.
What I make of them, I fully suspect that they think the Earth is flat.
Okay then. And they won't reach 5%.
Of course, it won't reach 5%.
No. Well, I think the same.
Why are you giving them so much
You're
coverage?
the politician, not me.
Well, Kevin and Craig,
Yep.
Colin Craig couldn't get 5% with all his millions.
Yeah. And then he went on to do other things.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then his same parties now call themselves New Conservative.
Yeah.
You know, it's
coalition. What can you say about potential coalition partners? That totally dependent on the outcome of the electorate, or your vote,
Yes,
or you're
okay.
prepared? Can you say
it's
something in advance?
totally dependent upon what the people say.
Okay. Yep.
All the rest go in with their pre-arrangements behind the voters' back.
Now, I need to ask you about the alert levels. I don't know if you know that this morning the PM made changes for the Australians, which you reckon will allow them to come over here. I think it's train within 3 days and the whole squad to train within 6 days. I mean, obviously you've been outspoken about alert levels and how it also affects the All Blacks. So,
Well, first of all, I'm more concerned how it affects you in Gisborne and the Taranakis and the South Island, where you haven't had a case since April.
Yep.
I mean, I've said that these alert levels are not justified.
Yep.
They're not justified on medical grounds.
Yep.
They're not justified on economic grounds. And many of the things that you are hearing are going unchallenged because the media are not asking the right questions. For example, where is the economic analysis of a shutdown in Auckland that we were meant to have for months? And where's the economic analysis of how things are going now? I'm told, listening to the media over the last 48 hours, that it can be measured from truck movements and credit card use. Well, you know, if you want to go out and find where the wind's coming from, you could put your finger in the air, or you could actually get something that's far more scientific. And that's what's happening here. It's not scientific, it's not justified. And the so-called models are themselves plucking theories out of midair and analysis out of midair, and the variables in those models beg the question, well, which one is actually accurate? But I mean, why should Gisborne be shut down at level 2? You haven't had a case, what, for 5 months?
We had 4 cases in total in that original lockdown period. It would have been what, March, April?
That was April.
April, May, yeah.
That was April.
So Gisborne and everybody outside Auckland is level 2. If you were the PM,
But there is no, I'm saying there is no justification for it, and I'm putting the challenge out there for the public and the media to ask, well, why is it happening then?
So when should the country, or at least outside of Auckland, at least gone down to level 1? Where do you
It should never come out of level 1. That's
should
what
never? Okay.
So hang on, that's what I said then. And remember, we're going between levels now.
Yep.
When the last time that theory was run, we had to have 2 clear cycles. That's 2 lots of 14 days.
Yeah.
That's 28 days.
Yeah.
So where's the consistency now?
Can I just make sure I heard that previous sentence correctly? When we've had the second outbreak related to that cooler place in the church, you're saying we never should have gone back up the levels at that time? Is that what you said? Yeah.
The rest of the country should not have paid the price for looseness at the border, and it was.
So you're saying that to the country outside of Auckland?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I said it then. I said it then as well.
We've probably had our 10 minutes. Is there
No,
anything
yeah,
you'd like to
that's
say,
good.
or have you got something there for?
Well, we're going to have, this will be an announcement which I can give you all because it'll be coming to you in about 10 o'clock, right? The other the matter, of course, is that we put huge funds into neglected areas eroding in this part of the world, $40 million worth.
Yep.
And it's made a huge difference. And that would never have happened were it not for the Provincial Growth Fund and a party called New Zealand First. Now, you know, success has many fathers, failure is an orphan. Now everybody's trying to own it, but it's our policy. We negotiated in the 11 days after the last election, $3 billion over 3 years, plus 1 billion trees. And these are things that have had a profound effect in terms of their localisation in Gisborne. You've never seen such an investment in this part of the world.
No, no. Although I will say, going back to that public meeting when the PGF was raised and described as New Zealand First policy, the Labour candidate did not accept that. Because Labour has to agree.
Yeah, okay. Well, why don't we get the coalition agreement and you'll see it all laid out in black and white.
Sure, okay.
Please don't tell me that they recovery of rail
I'm saying
or the
what they
Provincial
said.
Growth Fund. Eh?
I'm saying what they said.
Yeah, well, they should be required to prove it. Mm-hmm. And when the evidence is so obvious in a document.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then, are you happy with that?
I'm very happy with that. I suppose there's one matter I want to raise.
Sure.
And that is the matter of transport north of here. The transport option north of here. Let me just say it very, very clearly. We're not here to foist any plan on the local people. What we're here to do is to say you've got huge problems with the transportation of that reach, and there may be alternatives, but it's for you to say what you want in this part of the world. Saying that somehow we are coming here to impose our wish and our will is so wrong.
Yep, okay.
But I just want to say there's a bit of an irony here. Since when did you hear politicians coming with money to back up their promises? You know what politicians are like. They're long on the lip, slow on the hip, and make all sorts of commitments and there's no money. The difference with that New Zealand First and these other outfits is we come with the money already ready to go and on projects that should have been done 30, 40 years ago. I mean, you knew that this huge wall of wood was coming. You knew it two and a half decades ago. Where's the preparation from previous administrations? None. We have to do something about it. And that includes massive added value and enterprises and work adding value to wood here before it even gets anywhere else in the world. All right?